On the Brocast.
Oh yeah, on the Brocast.
On the Brocast, yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to the Brocast. It is Saturday, 3 p.m. My name is Commander Josh Hawkins, and I am joined by Commander Sturgeon Starstone.
What?
And Commander Greatest.
What?
We haven't been drinking or anything today.
Not today, not yet.
Maybe. Not yet.
But I cannot guarantee there might not be some beer involved later during my slot on the 24-hour live stream from Plater.
Yes, I hope. I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but I hope we don't have too many people watching today. Although I hope you do join us.
I've seen Keith says he's flipping between two streams, so go you. You can do that. If you can multi-stream the other way around, that's good.
I don't know if you can do this from.
Take away viewers.
Can you pop up the chat and just have the two chats going at the same time? I'm sure there's a way to do that.
You can if you click on the top right-hand side, those three dots, you can actually open the chat in a new window and pull that over.
Yeah,
that works.
That's exactly what I do. I do pop-up chat, and I just keep the two open.
Yep.
So, hey everyone, thanks for joining in. I know Plater's doing a 24-hour stream, but oh my god, I opened up Reddit and I was like, what the shit?
It just so happens to also be LaveCon weekend, so of course there's stuff to talk about.
There's a lot going on. Well, so here's what we're going to do. Just to not detract too much from Plater's stream, we're going to do an hour broadcast, in which time we're going to cover
if at all.
Well, if at all. I mean, we're going to keep it short and sweet. That's basically what I'm saying. And by short and sweet, I mean we're going to start as quickly as possible. We're going to go over all of this stuff. We're actually going to watch around 20 minutes of the LaveCon video. I have it queued up and ready to go. Here it is, right here in front of us. And we're going to discuss everything that they're showing. So we'll kind of like start and stop it along the way and just talk about what's going on there. And I'm thrilled by what I'm seeing, I gotta say. I mean, I've been bitching about Elite for a long time, about how there's no content and how there's nothing drawing me in. And I watched these 20 minutes this morning and I went, oh, why can't this be now? Why can't it be right now?
We're still gonna have to wait a bit, but I'm really excited as well.
I'm really excited too. I'm sure that you guys are all excited as well. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say in the chat. Please leave me your comments. Let's talk about it in the chat. We'll be pausing and stopping and starting
this one's going to be a very interactive one because we're not really playing the game.
Yes.
So everyone here will be watching the chat. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, put them right in there. We'll have a chat.
Yeah, and I'm keeping it on this view right here with the chat on the side and everything because people watching it after may want to see what people were talking about. But please, be active in the chat, and I'll be monitoring chat and watching this at the same time. So, without further ado, let me bring you some English folk from Frontier Studios at LaveCon, which is happening now, and let's show off what's coming in Q4. Lots of stuff, mining and exploration. I should have put that in the title, but there's some mining stuff. It starts off with mining stuff for the first few minutes. And 1, 2, 3, go. And we got to listen to these guys talking too, so we'll be talking over them and stuff and things. And does it start right away?
So,
there we go.
Everyone that's just joined us on the stream.
Welcome
to
everyone.
The Frontier panel at LaveCon 2018.
There's Sandy Samarco.
Alan Woods. I'm executive producer working on Elite Dangerous and at Frontier, obviously, because Frontier produces the game. It would be a bit weird if I didn't. With me on the panel,
Turn this volume up
we
a little
have
bit.
lead gameplay designer Sandy Samarco, the English gentleman.
Thanks, Buzznut. It's nice to be back. Great test. He says nice to see you too.
The ever lovely Mark Allen, lead gameplay coder.
Elmerick, you don't have to mute Plater. You can keep him on one ear. You can listen to all the Frontier guys. You can listen to us and Plater all at the same time. It'll be like a cacophony of streamers. It's like 3 streams in one.
So it's really weird talking to a streamer. I don't know. Maybe you're looking at me there. I don't know.
It's mighty confusing already because I have to actually watch our stream so I can see what's happening and what they say, and I have you on my ear as well, which is confusing.
Yeah, I know. It must be. Got like repeat, echo.
We're going to be shining a spotlight on just a few elements of each bit. So it's kind of a almost like a walk around the dev office, if you will. So the footage and the things you're about to see this afternoon aren't final. They're investigations, they're concepts, they're things taken from the game. But it gives you
Keith Kerwin-Jones says,
really good
mind
sense of
blown.
me moving around the screen weirdly.
Do they
It
really
gives you
need
a good
those
sense
two
of the
desktop
progress you're
cameras
making
pointing
and
up at them like that?
Weird.
Really?
Who knows?
But not only that, we'll
It's like,
also
why do
get
they have
those
the
in
double
about
vision
chapter 2 update,
thing?
which is coming
Bandwidth
soon.
nommers, what are they playing at?
It will come
Right?
with
Yeah, it's a good
more,
question. Good question,
feedback,
Wacky Sparrow. Why
we'll
isn't
open
that
up
video on
more than
Elite's
that.
YouTube channel?
So, without further
a good
ado,
question.
I think if that's all the script, I'm
Here,
going to hand over to Mark.
Oh,
who's gonna talk
there
about
there's like a little
how
flash of a
this
side camera
works.
there for a second. Oh,
Yeah,
there
we're
they
gonna
got rid of
start
the
with
other camera.
explosion for this one. So mining.
Okay, they're talking about
gonna
mining.
Guess at least some people here are familiar with how the mining laser and Prospector limpets work at the moment.
Okay, let me pause that just for a second. They're going to talk about mining, even though they did they end up doing the mining feedback forum finally? Because I know that they had canceled it or delayed it the last time it was up.
I don't think they did.
Anyone in the chat know? Well, anyhow, they do show
I
off
think
some stuff here.
in general the Q4 feedback stuff is still delayed. I don't think that came up just yet. I guess they were specifically waiting for this, for this kind of teasers to show up and get out there, so they can actually get feedback from people on what they have already and then improve on it. I think
It'll be interesting to see what the feedback is and how much actually changes based on this, because they don't have that long before Q4. I mean, just like, what, 6 months? And then any feedback, they might have to make changes. But it looks to me like, from what we're going to see here, that they have a pretty solid base to what we're going to see as far as mining and exploration changes. So, continuing on.
We want to improve that gameplay a lot, and to do that,
Look at that
you'll
picture.
keep your mining laser, you'll keep your Prospector limpet. They're bringing quite a lot of friends to the party. We've got a suite of new tools coming, which will overhaul the mining process. Start with, you need to be able to find what you're going to mine, which ties into some of the exploration stuff that Sandy will be talking about when I finish waffling.
Okay, pausing for a second. Look at these new asteroids. That looks incredible. Oh my god, that's all I want to say. Incredible.
Once you've got to the local area, you've got a few thousand asteroids.
that could be like, I don't know, like crystalline structures on asteroids. I don't know how realistic that is, but regardless, I'm super excited about it.
Asteroids are going to be valuable,
Yeah.
what kind of resources they contain.
Well, it's certainly going to make them easier to identify the ones that have...
Yes, more of that.
Yeah.
I'd say not remotely realistic, but I don't give a stuff because they
Yep,
look pretty.
it looks
and that's
awesome.
fine by
Essentially,
me.
you'll narrow down
Rule of cool.
to
Indeed.
which asteroid you want to go and make the effort to mine. Sometimes you'll want to use existing mining laser, strip the surface of it.
here's the
get
other
the
picture.
Materials that way.
The
Other
purple
times you'll
crystalline
find a
and
number
the
of different new kinds of deposit.
red deposits on
Some
there.
of those are going to be fragile deposits on the surface. No.
Hooked and tight says,
Fragile
so long as I
deposits
can skip the
that
ones
you're
with
gonna need to
birdie in them.
harvest very carefully.
I don't think any of
Mining
these ones
laser
would
will
be
shatter them completely.
Bertrandite or
Sometimes they'll
whatever
be
it's called.
slightly beneath the surface of the asteroid. You'll need to use new tools and new equipment to extract them safely. And occasionally, as we've hinted with our FX concept, and I think maybe behind me at some point, you'll need to crack the asteroids wide open to get at the juicy core in the middle.
Now, hold on there.
Yeah,
That's
pause it.
interesting to me. They said you sometimes you mine like just below the surface, but you'll need new tools and new equipment for that.
Yes.
That's kind of weird because I thought, kind of the just subsurface mining is what we're doing right now with our mining lasers. But maybe they are actually completely revamping it and completely getting rid of what we have so far.
I think so.
So,
And you know
yeah.
what? That I find that very exciting, because one of the things about Star Citizen that I really enjoyed reading about, at least in concept, was their mining system. Now, in Star Citizen, you have dedicated mining ships, and then, you need... I do believe that there is one where you can fly it by yourself. It was a very small one. It's very limited in its capacity to do mining, but the multi-crew mining ships were rather extensive in terms of their functions. So you have, like, one person operating... one person flying the ship, one person using the mining laser, one person scooping up the chunks, and maybe a fourth person
I think we'll get to
refining them.
that, though, that they said they also want to incorporate those features more, like multi-crew in exploration and mining.
And they are going to discuss it in this video, but let's talk about the surface and subsurface and what they are now just very
Deep
quickly
core.
showing, the deep core mining.
Yeah.
So they're going to talk about the multi-crew functionality of this, and I wonder if, since we're going to see later on a little bit of a mini game sort of thing with exploration, which I don't want to spoil yet if anybody hasn't seen it, I wonder if they're going to incorporate that into multi-crew for mining as well, because obviously there's going to have to be new multi-crew stations if people are actually controlling the depth of the lasers, right? So I'm very excited to see what's actually going to happen with this, and if we're going to see all new game mechanics, not just, you know, the visuals that we've seen here, like these cool asteroids, but being able to burrow into the surface of the asteroid, for example. And they're talking about new tools. Some delicate deposits on the surface, he says, or he's going to say, will require different tools so that you don't destroy them. So here, let's continue watching.
Something's going on over there.
Can we stop the sniggering, please? See me after class. Hey, these microphones are really good. Sorry.
So yes, cracking open the asteroid, you're going to have to place a load of blasting charges around the asteroid.
Blasting
in locations,
charges
you'll figure
around
out
the
with
asteroid.
the Prospector limpet, it's gaining some new functionality to tell you a little more detail about what's inside the asteroid, where there are structural weaknesses and fissures that you can exploit. You'll need to work out how many charges need to be placed and where on the asteroid to blow it open into chunks. And when you do, don't know why I keep looking at you. So it's a much more involved process, which means that aside from being more interesting to go through, we can also increase the rewards you get from mining an awful lot, because we know a lot more about what you're doing. There's a lot more engaging things to be getting on with, and we can support wings and multi-crew a lot better in the whole process. So personally, I love.
Oh, we got an ad. Okay, we got to watch the ad. Let me mute that for a second. Yay! Twitch interrupted by commercials.
Okay, so what we've seen until there is that we have, he said, like these structural fissures.
Yeah.
That you have to exploit them.
And placing charges at different locations.
To be honest, that's gonna be one, if not the most in-depth mining system I've seen in any game so far. If you actually have to figure out how to pop that asteroid and then hopefully get rewards that are up par there, and actually make it worth your time.
Well, you're clearly going to have new scanning tools, and they do talk about the exploration scanning tools. I think that the asteroid scanning tools are going to work very similarly in the sense where you're going to be painting the surface of the asteroid to determine where certain features are located. But placing the charges... So, question, what do you think? Do you think that's going to be... the person flying the ship is going to place them, as in you aim at the asteroid and fire like a limpet? Or
I would think it's a limpet thing, yes, but if it's the pilot or maybe a turret, like a limpet turret controller that you have, and your second person or your second man can actually control them and fire them at certain spots on the asteroid, I don't know, but it would be interesting, yeah.
Uchtentide says, placing charges in a ship-launch fighter. See, that would be really cool if you had like a mining
ship-launched miner. Oh, yes, please.
Like that's something... And you know,
would be cool.
Just seeing that for all aspects of the game, and you know, making ship launch fighters more than just ship launch fighters, but ship launch miners. Maybe you can have one that scans, one that launches like these probes,
one that repairs.
Oh God, so many.
It's interesting that we're hearing about this particular mechanic at the same time as that they've introduced the mechanics for limpets to scan megaships. And it's probably not coincidental, because Frontier do sort of make things modular and they overlap things. So I'd be anticipating something not unlike the megaship mechanic we've got logistically.
Probably, yeah.
You'll be firing something at target points on the asteroid, the same as
you probably get those target points from your prospecting limpet or something, yeah. Yeah. I can see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on.
Okay, continuing on. Oh, and let's also mention they're talking about not just multi-crew, but wings, right?
Yep.
So, who is it said in... Uchtentide also said, and a fleet of T9s behind you to collect the rebels. So maybe for like squadrons,
yes, please.
Or something like that, where you actually have like mining squadrons working together. That would be amazing. All right, here goes.
One of these particularly valuable asteroids. Maybe one person's taking the time to work out where to place the blasting charges. someone else is harvesting all the fragile stuff on the outside, because if the blasting charges go off, that's all going to be destroyed.
Okay, so he just said someone is taking the time to work out where to place the blasting charges while someone else is mining the minerals from the asteroids. So there has to be a way for those to work at the same time if they're talking about multi-crew. So it's very interesting. I mean, I'm thinking maybe like an active console display where, like, you know, the asteroid shows up in a holographic image. Maybe it can be manipulated and they can program on that display where the charges will get placed.
I can see that, yeah, or actually like similar to the kind of third-person camera you have in multi-crew when you're in the gunner seat. Maybe something like that will be focused around the asteroid instead of your ship, and you can then, as long as you're in range, for example, and then you can like rotate it and figure out stuff.
Or like the close-up view in the system map when you zoom in on a planet and you can rotate it around. That's the type of stuff, like that's what the Elite Dangerous is missing right now, is we don't have active consoles. If you look around in VR and turn around and look behind you, you could be like, oh, look at all these cool consoles that do absolutely nothing. You know, like, oh, look at this station, does absolutely nothing. So maybe that was honestly what we all hoped multi-crew was going to incorporate when we first saw multi-crew, but of course it didn't give us anything like that. That's hopefully what they're talking about, is maybe making these stations more active with things like a holographic representation or a digital representation of the asteroid that you could rotate and then click on to select the points where the charges are going to go. John Sugar says, maybe someone blasts off a bit of the asteroid, then someone uses the laser to extract the minerals while someone places more charges. Yeah, well, I guess that would be the idea, right? A turning mining beam will be of use now. Yeah, that's true. A turreted mining laser for like a multi-crew person to be shooting. But, you know, the thing is, like, if it's a large asteroid, and these asteroids look like they're going to be pretty damn large, right? If you have to place charges all over it. The ship is very small in comparison. If you've seen the scale, a large asteroid compared to your ship, I mean, you're talking
you'll have to
just
fly
a
around
speck.
it anyhow, yeah.
You'd have to fly around it. So they would... I'm thinking...
But that's cool, because then the pilot has to do something as well, you know? It's not just sitting there.
Yeah, I'm hoping... And let's see if we're right on this. Ship-launched mining.
Oh, yes, Anton. Oh, yes.
How about landing on larger asteroids and placing them with your SRV? Oh,
I'm so down for that, but I'm afraid that won't happen.
Not enough gravity on those asteroids, man. I mean, even on like a small moon, the amount of the lack of gravity you have.
We don't need gravity. Remember, have thrusters on them to keep you on the ground, but that would probably push the whole asteroid away.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got like asteroid pinball going on.
Yeah. Drive it into the hole.
Oh my god, there's a whole new game idea. Imagine having to drive with your SRV to the appropriate side of the asteroid to push it in a certain direction and have like fucker going on in an asteroid field. Holy moly.
I'm going to put the link to the video in the description, since they're asking, any player BR is asking for a link to the video. It's now in the description of the YouTube channel. You can check it there if you want to watch it after. Let's continue on and discuss.
Yep.
Maybe someone else is prospecting for the next asteroid to find.
Oh, and someone prospecting for the next asteroid.
It's going to come down to what works best for the group that you've got mining.
Wow. Okay.
And finally, we want to make...
Hold on. Unless they're talking about everyone doing this in their own individual ships, of course. Then it's wings.
I mean, it could be wing or multi-crew, I don't know.
Yeah. But he says multi-crew, but I guess it could be wings too. So, yeah. Let's hope it's multi-crew and that they're making more active consoles and not just having everyone in their own ships.
Yeah.
Okay, continuing on.
Mining a dangerous process. In the real world, not a particularly safe thing to be doing. You're using some pretty massive explosives. You're pushing huge chunks of rock around that can and do hit you quite hard. There are the less expected threats, though. Maybe this asteroid is particularly dusty and is going to kick up a cloud that obscures your vision or your sensors. Maybe you missed something on your scanner, and this one contains something a bit corrosive that's going to eat all the mining limpets you try to use to get the resources. Maybe this one's volatile and is just going to explode in your face.
You can tell which part he wants to code up, can't you?
I did say we were starting with explosions. Depends how big a rocket is. We want a lot of danger, but we want it to be expectable danger that if you know the tools, if you know the gameplay, you can predict and mitigate to some degree. But to players who are less experienced or who are less skilled in the process, it's going to be a pretty risky thing to go out doing, which we think sounds good. And it's more than just minerals and resources up there. When you break open these asteroids, yes, you'll have some explosive surprises. You may have some existing resources, some new resources. If you go out into the galaxy and are mining in some of the less explored areas, there's all sorts of other things you might be able to find. That leads into exploration.
Yeah.
Okay, so interesting ending to the mining talk, which is you might find other things in asteroids.
New materials or other things.
Well, he says new materials, but then he says which leads into exploration. And I know what they talk about in the exploration part, and I, not to spoil it or anything, because you're all going to see this in just a second, but they do talk about the ability to scan planet surfaces and be able to identify interesting things on the planet surface. So imagine if you're mining, although I don't know why you would be mining way out in the black, but maybe you're looking for artifacts or some type of
I mean, that goes back to something we've kind of pitched or talked about way back when I think there was a big thread of suggested mining features on the forums somewhere, where they put up the idea of maybe having different materials like in regions of the galaxy. So it would actually be worth for you to go way out there and go to an area where a certain material is abundant that you don't or barely have at all in your current, in the bubble, for example.
Yeah.
I don't know, or I don't think that's what they're kind of planning. But maybe it could be incorporated in that whole thing. It kind of depends where they're going with materials, what they're gonna play, what role they're gonna play in the future. If there's gonna be a new exciting thing or new research, for example, that you could be doing with those exotic materials that you can find around the galaxy.
Yeah,
we'll see.
It'll be interesting what actual materials they get out of that. But the whole idea of adding danger to mining is fantastic. I mean, I've even said, and I know many explorers will be like, well, we don't want too much danger, but there should be some danger in exploration, aside from just running out of fuel. They added in the neutron star jets, which is an element of danger. You can hurt yourself in those things, definitely.
And random power play NPCs that follow you to Beagle Point.
There is that. Yeah.
Well, there is that, yeah. And burning up in the surface of a star, which I'm infamous for doing. But hopefully we'll see other elements of danger and exploration as well with these new things that we're going to see discussed here in the Frontier panel at LaveCon in just a second.
But yeah, other things in asteroids.
For mining, it makes
sense.
sense.
That could be interesting.
Jaws the asteroid, says Spooky. Deep space mining exploraconda, Jerome. Yeah, that's the deep space mining. That'd be very interesting if you have like rarer materials that only form, let's say, around neutron stars, for example. Just a strange idea.
Let's dig deeper.
Let's dig deeper. Okay, so quick recap of mining. New ways to mine. Mining charges placed on large asteroids. Surface mining. Subsurface mining. Core asteroid mining. Blowing up asteroids. Different types of dangers in the asteroids. Corrosives or explosives. Multi-crew mining. Wing mining. Looks really cool. I love the animation that they showed for the
It sounds like mining is finally gonna be as flashed out as it really deserves to be, as a major activity in the game,
and better payouts too, because
hopefully,
you're going to be more engaged.
Adequate.
And someone, was it in our chat? No, it was in the chat, in the Twitch chat that I'm looking at here. I have two chats going right now, so I'm like, I saw some of our people were in that chat, as a matter of fact. But one of them said mining, it'll be more fun to pirate miners now, which would make sense, right? Because if there's going to be better payoffs and they're going to be getting better materials from this mining operation, pirating miners will make a lot more sense as well. All right, moving on to what we really want to see is the exploration sneak peek for Q4. Before we go on, just quick welcome to the Brocast for all of you who are in here right now. Thanks for joining us. We are checking out the Frontier panel at LaveCon 2018, which is happening over the past couple of days. We just looked at some of the mining updates that we're going to see in Q4, and now we are moving on to the exploration updates. My name is Commander Josh Hawkins. You're watching the Brocast. I'm joined by Commander Sturgeon Starstone.
Good evening, peoples.
And Commander Greatest.
Hello, Nian.
And we are going to dissect, discuss, and deliberate all of this information, and I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, certainly please feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications. We're on every Saturday at 3 p.m., usually for 2 hours. Today's going to be a slightly shorter show because Commander Plater is doing a 24-hour charity live stream, which Turgeon will kindly post a link to in the chat, and you're welcome to go check that out after. He'll be doing it for another 16 hours or so, so go support him. It's for a good cause. But don't leave just yet. Hang around with us and continue watching this, because it's cool, and we're going to show off some exploration stuff now. So,
let's keep going then.
Keep going. Here goes Frontier Panel LaveCon 2018 exploration. Okay, moving on.
How do we find these things, Sandy?
How do we find these things?
Nice link.
Yes, the reason why he's saying how do we find these things is because these new asteroids have to be found, I think, before you go into the asteroid belt. Because as anyone who's played Elite Dangerous knows, the asteroid belts are enormous. I don't think it's even possible to circumnavigate. Well, I'm sure it is possible, but trying to circumnavigate an asteroid ring in normal space would take, what, years?
Well, it's kind of tough because you don't really know where you are. You have no way of knowing how far around the planet you are. And I mean, the ring, we know that the rings themselves are moving, sometimes rather quickly, in fact. So since you're kind of locked to the space of the rings and you're kind of moving with them, you go around the planet anyhow. So.
But if you actually try to fly around the ring, you'd know how big those damn rings are. They're massive. They're trillions and trillions and trillions of tons, sometimes quadrillions of tons of material floating around there. So to actually locate it, well, you're going to need some new tools in addition to your new mining tools. So let's see what they have to say.
But yeah, we
and
find
here's the
them
image
like we do
on the screen right now that they
so,
teased us
one of the big
of the new
updates
lighting.
In Q4 is going to be exploration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of a spotlight on just one small element. I don't want to give the game away just yet on everything. But I'm going to focus on it with through the lens of a couple of the pillars that we want to uphold with exploration, which are adding satisfying processes to exploration, and obviously making sure there are some cool things to find.
They want to add
so
processes
with that,
to
let's take
exploration.
a module that probably I imagine we're all completely familiar with, the detailed surface scanner. So this is a great little module. You stick it onto your ship, get extra payouts, a lot of extra money, and you find some cool new information, which I think includes things like what materials are on a planet's surface. It's pretty good. So again, we're not taking anything away here. That functionality, you retain that. It's going to be there. That's all golden. However, it's fair to say that there's actually no gameplay associated with the detailed surface scanner. It's like an add-on that makes the basic scan of a stellar body that much more useful. And that's where I think we can really improve things and make it a lot more fun, a lot more satisfying, and give you a bit more. So what we're going to do is we're going to let the detailed surface scanner launch probes.
Hold on, I just noticed something. I don't know why, but the image is not actually showing up there. It's got my Elite Dangerous thing showing up for some reason. Let me fix that. I don't know what the heck is going on with that. Oh, had a chroma key on it. There, that's a little better. Okay. I just looked over. I'm like, why is that image
let you
look all
launch them in
screwy?
supercruise, and you can basically
go.
bombard stellar bodies with these probes. Now, they're obviously not there to destroy anything. They're sensor probes. And when you fire them around a planet or around a ring, because this will also be dovetailing into mining, this will be how you find a lot of the rich deposits that you can mine in asteroid rings and clusters and whatnot. The probes will follow what we're calling a kind of a partial guided orbit. Effectively, it's kind of like a parabolic arc. They will go in a straight line, but they have supercruise-assisted flight to allow them to arc towards the body that you want to scan. And when they get close enough to the surface, they will deploy a complicated sensor array and start collating data from a large area around them. And the idea is that we want you to effectively paint coverage of a body with these sensors. And once you've got enough coverage of data, then it's all collated and fed back to you with the results, and you can find out a lot of information. So why are we doing this? Well, what are the reasons?
Okay, cool. Discovery probes. Finally, some interaction with Discovery and not just honking a scanner or flying towards a planet and just automatically scanning the planets. It looks like I paused it on the next image over, but that's okay. Hang on, let me just go back like 3 seconds.
I'm pretty sure they should be, Keith, because else exploration wouldn't make much sense if you ran out after your first 3 planets and you didn't have any probes anymore. So
well, Sandy
they would
goes
have
on...
to be synthesized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if
Sandy
they
says that
don't
they are.
intend them to be synthesized, after the huge amount of fuss that'll be kicked up about them not being synthesized, they will be.
Yeah, exactly.
He does say that they're going to be synthesized, which is going to add more interaction and more things to do when you're exploring as well. I mean, obviously, you don't want to run out of these things, so you're going to have to eventually go down to planet surfaces and pick up some more materials. Or maybe possibly carry a mining laser on. I mean, that would be a good use for the weapon slots on a ship, right? If you're doing exploration, I mean, why not put some mining lasers on there?
And it makes exploration builds more versatile or more, I guess, more
Exactly.
complicated and not so straightforward. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, because you don't need guns, at least since they've introduced Thargoids, we still don't need guns on exploration ships.
Yeah.
We used to never carry them.
back then.
That
Yeah,
was a
we
tease,
used to
David
never-
Braben saying that, oh, maybe you'll need guns, maybe.
No, you don't.
No, you
But I mean,
don't.
we never took them because they just weigh too much. But now that we've got engineering and we can have longer jump ranges, the jump range thing isn't such an issue. So you can carry guns. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be carrying mining lasers if you can make use of them these days.
It would make excellent sense, too, because let's say, for example, you want to go exploring in a smaller ship that doesn't have the ability to put a planetary landing suite on there for an SRV. Maybe you can gather your resources from asteroids instead to synthesize your discovery probes, right? There's a lot of people that, I mean, Sidewinders, for example. Sidewinder can't carry an SRV, can it?
Yes, it can.
It can?
Pretty sure.
Yeah, but literally nothing else.
Yeah. One small SRV vehicle hangar, and that's it.
It's the last time I flew a Sidewinder. Like, holy crap. I'm like, wow, it can carry an SRV. Holy shit. Okay. Well, anyhow, yeah, so mining lasers for explorers, maybe bring some mining tools, mining suites. It makes the whole process of... I think the reason why they're releasing these 2 updates at the same time is because they want them to interact with one another. That's why they kind of led from mining into exploration, and these scanning probes are going to be used not just for the detailed planet surfaces, but also for identifying the mineral-rich or high concentration areas of these potentially more valuable asteroids in the asteroid belts, which, if we show this image that's on the screen right now, this is showing the probe being launched at a planet, and I'm guessing those blue areas are the painted surface areas, and I'm sure this is going to change quite a bit. But interesting idea that they kind of shoot off.
That's clearly a placeholder HUD right there, but
yeah. Oh, well,
interesting.
It could be. It kind of looks like this screen looks like the multi-crew turret views, right? So maybe it's launched in a similar fashion to that. And he's going to go on and talk about multi-crew.
I would think so, Spooky, but I think the interesting part is that geezers will not be the only thing to discover on planets anymore, hopefully.
And yes, Sandy's going to mention that as well as we progress into this exploration.
Yeah,
part of the
let's
video.
watch a bigger chunk so we can, talk about it more comprehensively.
Okay.
A body.
It's going to skip from this image over to
Once
the
you've got enough coverage
ring
of
image here in
data,
just a
then it's all
second. I
collated
just
and
want to
fed
pause it
back
on that one and
with the
dissect that image
results,
for a
and you can
moment,
find out a lot of information.
even though these are very much
But why are we doing
placeholders.
this? Well, one of the reasons is it's very sad.
Okay, here's very quickly. Here's the image of the rings. Now, first thing I want to say is notice that there's a difference in color in the different ring bands here. It looks like there's more blue in there, and this is all, I'm sure, with the new lighting. But you can see kind of like these areas that are highlighted, and I'm assuming that those will be sort of like anomalous regions where you're going to want to scan and get down there too. But take a close look at the rings and look at the difference in them.
Satisfying. It's a fun activity. Because of the way the probes they fire in a straight line, but it's affected by gravity. So the larger the mass of the body that you're firing them at, the more they will arc towards it. It allows you to do cool things like trick shots. So you could just fly around a planet and
trick shot
fire,
your probes.
A probe down to collate the data from the area that it hits, and you can get full coverage that way. But it's a lot quicker and a lot more satisfying to actually start lobbing these probes around the planet. And in fairness, if you've got enough skill, you can trick shot and lob them completely around the far side. So from one position, you can hit the absolute opposite surface area. There's also a small amount of resource management.
It's interesting what he's talking about, lobbing the probes and trick shots, how you can actually get them to land on the far side of the planet. The image that's on the screen, again, it shows the planet with sort of like these lines here. I'm assuming those would be like the gravity lines that's going to affect the parabolic arc of the probe. So
I think the higher above the surface of the planet you aim, the farther around it will go.
Yeah, that's it. But it's
going to be your skill to determine how far or how high you have to aim so the probe actually lands on the spot you want it to land on.
And from what angle you're shooting it at those lines, I suppose. Because if you're on, let's say, the right-hand side of this planet and then you aim at those lines, it's going to arc differently than if you're on the left-hand side and you aim at those lines. Yeah.
There is no right-hand side of the planet.
Well, I mean, on the image.
You always sit in front of the planet and you're above exactly one spot on the planet, and then you can aim above the horizon that you see.
Yes, the right-hand side of this planet.
The distance to the planet is more determining how they're going to interact. Because if you're really close to the planet, then you're going to have a hard time actually arcing these things all the way around, because you're deeper in the gravity well, and you have to kind of really lob them up high to get them all the way around. But we'll see. It's interesting, certainly.
Pool with planets, says Charles McManamy. Yeah, it's it kind of is like that. Gravity pool.
I like it though. Let's keep watching.
You can shoot loads of probes at planet and guarantee you're going to get coverage, but of course then you're going to run out of probes more quickly and you'll need to synthesize more. So the more efficient you are, the more satisfying the process. And we can also add mechanical, and we'll add mechanical rewards for doing it better, basically.
Okay, so he mentions an interesting point that you can lob dozens of probes at a planet and you'll get full coverage, but that there's going to be skill involved, and the more efficient you are at launching the probes, the less you'll actually use up, so you don't have to synthesize more. So that's very interesting. I mean, the mechanics, obviously we know absolutely nothing about the mechanics, but what type of skill is going to be involved in launching these probes? There's going to have to be some type of optimal parabolic arc, I suppose, similar to fuel scooping, perhaps, in a sense.
Well, as I said, it's just going to depend on how close to the planet you are and how high you aim, and then you just have to figure out how to spread them around the planet most efficiently, and how big of an area your probes actually cover. Because if it's a huge planet, then you're probably going to need more probes to cover the whole surface, if you want to do that.
Spooky, can probes scan black holes or get sucked in? Assuming that the probe goes into the black hole, you would never get any data back from it. However, a probe being outside a black hole, you still wouldn't get any data back from it, because anything you shoot at the black hole in terms of scanning would never come back to you anyhow.
What I'm more interested in is if black holes actually going to change their appearance for once. If that's going to get an update. But let's keep watching.
Yeah, we'll see.
A bigger chunk, please, because if we keep talking about these little chunks, I think we're getting nowhere, really.
So
or it's so broken up.
People have been asking since Milky Crew came out, let's get some stuff to do that's not combat-oriented. We totally hear you there. So with regards to the detailed surface scanner, every crew member will be able to use it at the same time. And that includes Helm, although Helm can fly the ship as well. So not only does this look really cool, we've seen it in prototypes, it's really cool seeing all these arcs described around planets as probes whiz around them. It means that you can work together as a team and you can do things much more efficiently, much more quickly. It's a lot of fun. And very importantly, because we now know that multi-crew crew members are taking part and they're taking active part in exploration, we can reward them appropriately. So, there will be a reason.
Multi-crew rewards for exploration.
It should be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's looking at the process of it, the mechanical process. The flip side of that is what you find. So at a very base level, you find all the stuff you normally find. But on top of that, again, quite importantly, we think, we are going to eliminate the need to eyeball planets, right, to find interesting sites on them. It's kind of cool, and personally I have the utmost respect for the players that do, when they think there's something on a planet, they literally fly around and eyeball every part of it to find it. But I think we can improve this. We can make it better. So when you've got full surface coverage, sensor data for a planet, if there are interesting sites on it, such as Thargoid imprints or relics of the Guardians, or maybe just a field of strange brain trees and natural phenomena, we're going to tell you about it, basically, and we're going to guide you towards it, either through markers or another part of the breadcrumb trail. That's something that we're still working on at the moment. But the bottom line is, one of the features that we want to push quite heavily for exploration is to remove some of them out of the kind of randomness of, well, I'm just going to go here and I've no idea what's going on. At every stage during exploration, this is just one part, and there is a lot more coming. At the beginning of that stage, we're going to give you the information so you can make an informed decision as to whether you want to take this further. Well, we don't want you to go all the way down to planet surface and find there's nothing. You might want to go down there anyway. It might be an awesome photo opportunity. Yeah. So, but we don't want to. Thank you. I've got you. But we don't want to force you to make that decision and get there and find there's nothing for it.
Okay, so there it is. That's what we've been talking about for God knows how long. The ability to actually see whether there's something worthwhile on the planet and where to find it. That's going to eliminate, which I can say personally I've done this, and I'm sure many of you guys in the chat have done this as well, flying around a planet aimlessly for hours trying to find a surface feature or anything that's interesting to look at. But I think what's worthwhile noting is that Sandy says something there. He says, once you've got the full surface of the planet scanned, then we will tell you. So
yeah, I was picking that up as well. I'm not sure if that's gonna mean that you have to get like maybe 95% of the surface of the planet covered with your probes, and then it will kind of unlock for you and reveal all its secrets, or if you can kind of pinpoint interesting points on the planet and just be lucky with your first probe, it actually hits an area where there's something and you instantly get feedback that you found something. That will be interesting how that works.
I would, and it would make sense if that was the case, right? Like, oh, hey,
it would make sense
you
to
hit
me,
something
but I'm not
and it's
sure.
right there. But
I'm not sure if that's what they're going for gameplay-wise,
yeah,
though.
I think gameplay-wise, they want to reward people who actually spend the time doing it properly, and that's going to reward efficiency as well, because, like he said, you can lob dozens of probes and scan the whole thing and cover the surface, or if you do it efficiently, you'll use less, you'll get the whole result, and you'll be rewarded for it. I kind of disagree, though,
because if they would make it like the realistic way, and you just get lucky with your first probe, that would kind of reward people that, I don't know, have the right gut feeling, or they do actually make out some interesting feature on the planet just from looking at it, and they fire a probe there and actually, hit the jackpot or find something, and they're instantly rewarded instead of having to cover the whole planet first before they actually see if there's something down there. Yeah. So I hope they're kind of going with that option where you instantly get feedback if your probe finds something in its radius.
This is the type of stuff that we're going to want to hear in the feedback forums when they talk about the Q4 exploration. Exactly. It's like offering up suggestions like this. Personally, I'm cool either way. I can see from like maybe a programming aspect, like the reward for completing it is like if you've completed the entire surface scan, then the procedural generation part of the programming will generate whatever happens to be on the planet. But, at the same time, the realism is, hey, if there's something there and it was generated before you did the scan and then you just happened to pinpoint accurate hit that spot, you should be able to see it either way, right?
And there's a good small point from Charles McManamy in chat as well. He says, depends on what percentage of surface a probe scans. And I hope or think that's going to be a module grade thing. So there's probably going to be a limpet or probe controller for those scanner probes that goes from grade E to grade A. And the higher grade, the more scan radius you get per probe, for example, or I don't know, the more speed you get, or I don't know the attributes those probes will have, but I guess it's going to be a great thing, probably.
Yeah, well, Ujitite says the other question is, what are we going to find? Is it going to be something worth landing for, or more T canisters? Well, I don't think that we're going to find T canisters way out in the middle of nowhere, but like you said, Guardian ruins or Thargoid imprints. I don't know, Thargoid imprints. Is that what they're calling them? Thargoid imprints?
No, that's the first time I've heard that term, so I don't exactly know what he was referring to. Maybe it was those kind of Thargoid bases, but maybe it's something new.
Or maybe something new. But, you know, even if it's just the surface features, the geysers, geysers, whatever you call them, and, you know, like brain trees and things like that, I would be super thrilled because that's the type of stuff that's really cool to see. We want to see that stuff. And it's really hard to find it right now. I mean, hours, like he says, flying at 2 kilometers for hours. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So let's continue on. Finally, a way to cover the surface and discover things.
So that's, well, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Sam.
Of course, that's the team. That's not me. That's the team making all these cool changes. However, that's on the flip side of that. It wouldn't be very cool to explore if there was nothing more to find. We've got an awesome galaxy. It's filled with really crazy, awesome sights, but we want more. Basically, we want you to find more. So we're going to seed the galaxy with a bunch of what we're calling discoveries. Basically, it's unique things to find. They're gonna be pretty cool. So. We're going to split them up into various categories, such as geological, geology, biology, phenomena.
Geological,
and as you can see,
biology.
It's not always in individual elements that you'll find. Sometimes it's also the environment itself. And it's fair to say that all of these entities and these environments may have lots of interesting interactions, both beneficial and baneful for you as you explore. So that's where we're at. With exploration at the moment, there's a whole lot more to come. There's a lot of interesting things, such as we're going to divide the galaxy into regions to help you plot
dividing the galaxy into regions
and locate them and log them. We've got the codex coming as well.
So and they talk about the codex. That's
quite a lot of interesting stuff to come.
On that question of more, Chris, do you remember?
That's actually very interesting.
Yeah, the codex obviously is going to be sort of like your personal journal, recording everything that you've done and where you've gone, and the fact that they're dividing the galaxy into regions.
That's the point I'm going at here right now, because for one, I've just mentioned that that they could kind of use that dividing into regions to disperse different materials around the galaxy, but I also hope they're gonna go back to the work the community has done previously in the past,
setting region names.
There is a huge galaxy map of the Milky Way in Elite Dangerous, and each arm, each region, each area of the galaxy has already been given its own name by the community. The Galactic Mapping Project is what I'm referring to here.
And
so
the galaxy already
awesome.
Has those names, right? Like the Perseus arm and this and this.
Yeah,
and
of course, those are kind of official arms, but they've kind of added them to that by giving certain areas which have some gameplay meaning or some history in the game certain names. And I would love for them to incorporate that into that regional distribution that they're talking about here. That would be awesome.
And here, hold on. I'm just going to play this without the sound here, the little segment where they're showing this spatial anomaly. They're calling it a discovery. So obviously they're going to have numerous different types of discoveries. He talks about geological. He talks about biological. That's interesting. Biological discoveries. I mean, that could be like brain trees and stuff, but I'm also wondering
if it could be more.
It could be more, exactly. Maybe
because if you look at the actual lore of Elite, there were many, many more races of aliens in the past, and we haven't heard or seen anything of those in Elite Dangerous. So we'll see if maybe there's something actually really very exciting to find out there. But coming back to the cloud we're looking at right now, that to me is funny because it instantly made me think of the coil in Star Citizen. It's like one big gameplay area in that game, and it's basically just that. It's a big cloud with lightning storms in it, where there's different, kind of interesting stuff to find in there. It's probably nothing in Elite Dangerous to be found in there, like stations or so. It's just a discovery, like a natural occurrence. But the visual similarity is really uncanny. It's funny.
And what's interesting about this, there was another commercial just popped up there on Twitch. What's interesting about this is that he said that there could be boons or banes for explorers too. So I mean, there's benefits to it. I mean, the benefits I'm assuming is just the visual, not just the visual. I mean, maybe kind of like in neutron stars where you get a further jump range or something. But the bane, maybe you can also take damage if you're in these areas, like a corrosive cloud. Like, you know, this one here has lightning in it. Maybe there would be corrosive clouds where you're going to need to outfit your exploration ship accordingly for the different environments.
That's one like really, really important part to me with all these discoveries they're talking about. They have to make them diverse enough, because I think they keep underestimating for once how long or how much players actually sink time into this game, and how quickly even something like randomly generated or procedurally generated can turn boring if you just do it for long enough.
Yeah, and
so
if you
I
see
really
the same
hope,
thing over and over, right?
Exactly. I really hope they get a huge amount of diversity in these discoveries, so everything you as a single player find is actually unique to you. Somebody might have found something similar in the past. That's okay. But you have to think about the players that are not that engaged with the community or content creators. For them, it will be their own first discovery of, for example, such a lightning cloud, and that's going to be exciting. And
well,
it's gonna stop being exciting though if they proceed to find 4 more of these lightning clouds within the next 100 jumps. So you know, you kind of have to be careful there.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want there to be dozens and dozens of these in one tiny little area, because you'll definitely have that repeating feeling, but you don't want them to be as sparse as, say, planetary nebula either.
Exactly.
You know?
It's a tough balance, but I hope they'll get it right this time around.
Yeah. So I'm just playing it a few times over here to take a look.
Yeah,
at
let's keep going, mate, because it's already late.
Okay, continuing on.
Where discoveries are and locate them and log them. We've got the codex coming as well.
So we'll just finish this up one more time.
Quite a lot of interesting stuff to come.
On that question of more, Chris, do you remember the day when I got made EP and I said to you, the game looks good, right? Looks really good. I think we'd all agree, didn't we? Yeah, the game is a pretty game.
That concept art image we saw at E3.
No, Chris, we can do more. How could? And I challenged you. I said, Chris, make the game look better. Do it.
You challenged me. You came. You stared me right in the eyes.
Right there.
It was intense.
It was really
intense.
I remember
that. And,
almost got fired.
I took that to heart, that challenge. And
John Sugar's asking if the lightning cloud or other anomalies can damage your ship, and they are talking about that. You know, that's what we were just saying. There could be some potential damage from them, some dangers.
There's a lot more stuff we're working on behind the scenes. But first of all, let's track back a little bit, and this was an image that we showed at Expo last year.
You know, very quickly. Charles McManamy says, hopefully it'll mean that you have to properly outfit exploration ship and not just go for range. That's exactly it, and that will also make certain exploration ships more viable for greater exploration as well. A smaller...
Anaconda. Sorry, what?
Right. Well, I mean, it's nice that there's all this stuff out there, but the idea of there being, you know, potential dangers means that the smaller exploration ships may not be able to do the things that the larger ones can do. Not everything, which means...
that is fair enough to me, especially if then the multi-crew or wing aspect comes in. So even if your ship alone can't do everything, if you team up, you still might be able to do everything, and that's going to be exciting, because then you can actually, you know, have different jobs in an exploration wing, for example.
Yeah, and you could all be jumping together, but let's say you want to explore a particular location, you can't do it in your ship, you multi-crew into your friend's ship and go in there with him so you can experience it and explore.
Yep, or you wing up.
Or you wing up. Okay, moving along.
On screen at Expo, some of you might have been there. It was a good event. We really enjoyed that. And we showed a lot of stuff, and this was one of the things we showed. This is a piece of concept that we sort of talked about how we were going to revisit our ice planets. I'm going to give them a lift, give them a bit of a buff, really. And we talked about how we were going to add volumetrics. We were scatter rocks, large-scale scatter rocks, to make the terrain more interesting to navigate, and one of the things that I mentioned briefly, which has actually turned out to be perhaps more of a thing than we had originally thought, was that we were going to improve the game's lighting. And so what we're going to do is stick a pin in the ice planet for a minute.
I like how they tease the ice planet, and then they're going to show off some of the lighting.
But to begin with, we're going to have a look at the game's lighting model.
Before you move on, can I ask the tech people to move? There we go.
There we go.
Thanks.
That's a little more clear now. So, so basically, this is an image of the game. So a random section of the game at the moment as it currently stands. And it's something we're very happy with, and the look of the game has gone down well. That wouldn't be a bad idea. Can we do that? No, we can't.
Ooh,
yes, we
something
can.
like
Okay, great. Okay, cool. Although, funnily enough, seeing better might be a little bit easier with these next images. So
I think they're trying to turn off the lights or something so people can see them in the at LaveCon.
Very, very big, right? It's a huge, massive gameplay space, and within that there are realistic lighting models from the stars and the suns in there that make a large variety of environments that you can fly around and experience. So what that means for us as an art team is it's been quite challenging to be able to really curate the look of the game specifically, and to make sure that it looks as good as it can at all times. So what we've sort of tasked our render guys with, and what John B and Josh and some other people have been working on, is essentially a bunch of tools that allow us to do that better. So let's skip on to the second image there. So what you'll see here is what we are calling adaptive lighting. So what you're seeing there is an in-engine shot of before and after, essentially, of where we were and where we are. And these are tools as well. It's really important to make clear that these are tools that we got like last week. So we're very excited about them. We want to bring them along and give you a peek of them, but we are kind of still feeling our way with them.
Okay. I'm going to skip a little bit of the chat because they just talk about the differences. Yep. So they showed the current, and then they show the adaptive, and then immediately after that they're going to show the next image. I'll just see if I can get to it. Here, I'll play this here. This is the adaptive lighting with color grade. And that is the image that best reflects, I think, the that teaser image that they had given us when they first talked about what was going to happen in Q4. You can see there's a big change.
Basically HDR, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, darker spots on the planet, but you can still kind of see the stars in the background. Looks good to me.
Absolutely. And I'm going to skip ahead here a little bit more, because they show a few here it is. Let's show the here. This is the surface of the planet. Here's the current game lighting with a sidewinder. Then you see the adaptive. It brightens up quite a bit.
Cobra. It's a Cobra.
Cobra. Sorry. I never flew a Cobra. Never flew it. I don't even own one. And there's the adaptive lighting with color grade. Now, I'm curious if this is... I mean, I know that there's all these add-ons. I know Obsidian Ant uses them quite a bit in his videos that do kind of like a similar sort of thing, right? Where they...
I actually do too. I use GemFX. It's a post-processing filter which basically changes your settings in the post-processing and makes the game look different.
Now, looking at this one here, Grey Test,
more saturated. It looks similar, but I think it's going to be way better than those after post-processing modifiers, because it comes, naturally by the game.
Yeah.
And some things those post-processing things programs just can't do. They can't really change they can change the contrast, but it's artificially changed. It's not, natively from the game. So there is some quality loss in there, and I think it's going to end up way better. One thing I kind of noticed, though, that with the color grade, everything seems to be a bit too bright. I hope they're not going to mess up.
It is.
They're not going to mess up like the blackness of space, for example. If you're sitting at the edge of the galaxy, there should be barely anything out there. It should look super dark and black.
I doubt they will, because as Josh will attest to, when you're looking at the world in VR. The things that look absolutely black in 2D, you can see a lot more of in VR. That's just how it works with the VR setting.
But I mean, that's kind of balancing and tweaking things. I think they will notice themselves how. Yeah, I think they notice themselves how it's going to look best. I trust them there.
Take a look at this that we have up on the screen here. I'm going to play through this one here. This is the like an Earth-like world. So the current game lighting, you can see. When they go to the adaptive lighting, the dark side of the planet immediately gets dark and looks fantastic. But on this one, with the color range, it has...
It's bright again.
It's much brighter again. Now, I like the bluish hue to it. It's almost like the blue from the planet itself is kind of like reflecting into space and kind of like giving a bit of a hue to the area around it. But I would almost say that I like the middle image.
I mean, to be fair, as long as you're like inside the bubble or in especially in the core of the galaxy where there's millions of stars right around you, there shouldn't be any real dark and black spots on a planet, to be honest.
That's true.
That's fair enough. I just hope, like, when you're in an area that's supposed to be super black and dark because there's no star in the system, or you're at the edge of the galaxy and there's barely anything around you either, then it should also be super dark and black, and I hope they will nail that. That's all the concerns I have with this, really. Everything else looks good to me.
Yeah, it does. Okay, here, I'm going to unmute the stream and see what they're finishing up with here.
No special tools needed, no special rig needed.
No special tools, no special anything needed to get this. So, like you said, it's all in-game, and it's going to be more efficient.
The key about this is that it's not just that we've changed the game's look and feel for one particular environment, we've actually got a way of adapting it for the environment that you're currently in. So it means it's you should notice, and you will notice, a dramatic improvement look of the game come Q4.
Yes. Yeah, so a dramatic kind of change in the look of the game, depending on the environment that you happen to be in. I guess that's the color grade. Okay, and then finally, this is the last thing that we're going to see.
So we talked about a whole suite of things that we were going to
back to the Ice World teaser screenshot that they gave us at E3.
And more interesting to navigate. However, I'm going to show you one of those things today. We've got a lot of things in progress, but we just wanted to bring one little snapshot.
They do say there's a lot in progress, so we're only seeing a little tease of it.
Again, this will play in
with
at this.
The
rest of the things that we've talked about. This is our ice shader.
Yes way. Yes way.
Yeah, boy! Yeah, boy! That sounds like Ed Lewis going, yeah, boy! The ice shader looks beautiful.
My bank account is 00. No.
Cool. So, literally, cool. So,
not much.
Thank you.
That does look beautiful.
The ice shader is just one part.
Okay, that's all they show for it. I'm just going to let me see. I'm just going to back it up and replay that a couple times while we just quickly discuss what we just saw there. The I like how they were very careful to not show anything as far as terrain development. All they show is the ice itself, which I'll see if I can get that to play.
I mean, it looks fantastic, so you have to give them that.
It does.
It's absolutely fantastic. And if you consider there's different types of ice in the universe, and maybe you will have different kind of colors to that, or different kind of depth to that ice, it's going to be fantastic.
It really is.
But yeah,
I'm hoping that the ice will change. I mean, with this new lighting thing, with the different star colors, too. Imagine what an ice planet like that would look like around, like, a very bright blue star, for example. Is it going to, like, just literally explode with light? Is it going to be like a prism? I mean, look at this. You could see the light reflecting from the cockpit lights on the SRV. So there is light reflection there, and you can see the star reflecting through it as well. But it's all blue. Right, so, which, by the way, ice and the sky gives a blue look from Rayleigh scattering, which is the higher wavelength of light being absorbed. So we see the blue, and I'm screwing that up completely because I'm just like in awe of the beauty of that, but.
No, you're right, though, but that is also molecule dependent. So if your ice consists of a different kind of molecule and isn't water, it might also look different. So I am kind of hoping for that.
So there it is, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Frontier Panel LaveCon update for Q4 Exploration and Mining. The link to that video is in the description here, and I'll go ahead and post it in chat as well for anyone who wants to watch the rest. There's like another hour and a half of it, so certainly feel free to go and check out the rest of that Frontier panel. I have no idea what else they discuss during that panel because I didn't really have any other interest besides that, but I'm sure that there's a lot of interesting stuff on there. I know that they talked about quite a bit, but we're going to leave the Brocast with that, And I hope you guys enjoyed everything on there. We would love to hear your comments. Leave me some comments after this. I want to hear what you guys thought of the different features, what you're looking forward to, what you thought was the coolest, what you think is, what they're going to do as far as the mechanics of this. All in all, it looks like there's quite a bit of change coming in Q4, and I'm excited. I want to say it's the first time in a while I felt optimistic about the future of Elite Dangerous, and it's coming at a time when we really need it the most. Okay, so with
and
that,
now I want all 100 of you guys, if you aren't watching it already, to head over to this link that's in chat right now.
Yes,
that's Commander Plater's 24-hour charity live stream. See you guys over there.
Yes, the reason why we're cutting that short is because of this charity live stream. So please, if you haven't done so already, head on over there.
And because I'm going to be on there in 1 hour as well. So
Great,
see you over there.
Be there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and wrap this up with a little bit of... here it is. There it is. Thanks a lot for watching the Brocast. We hope to see you next week on Saturday at the same time, 3 p.m. on the Brocast. I am Commander Josh Hawkins, joined by Commander Greytess and Commander Turgeon Starso, saying thank you very much. And we will see you next time. Commander Josh Hawkins signing off.
Cheerio.
Cheerio.